A lot of thoughts going into technically this day 29. Um After last night, I have some thoughts, a narrative before we hop right into this trial here. For the notes for the day. A lot happened today, but I'm gonna tell you how I was thinking before I read the notes coming off of last night. So last night, um I really felt like how could they really get Diddy on a Rico, right? And I was thinking that Diddy did not run a criminal enterprise. I just don't see it. Um, I never heard of anyone in the enterprise ever say they beat Cassie. I never heard none of the assistants said they helped kidnap Cassie. The only incident that we know of is that he had the assistant to watch Cassie or to be at the house with Cassie to not leave because that's when Diddy went to Prince party, but instead they left the house and they went to Prince party and they didn't know that Diddy was gonna be there. So after that, he beat Cassie up outside and Prince bodyguard stopped it. But other than that, there has been no bodyguard trying to lock Cassie in the room. Nothing for her to kind of like for them to say, "Hey, these people mistreated Cassie." All interactions was really between KK and Combs, and KK being his chief of staff. If they was running the enterprise, KK potentially would have done something to Cassie. If anything, Cassie talked to D Rock. Cassie talked to Capricorn Clock. Cassie talked to Christina Caron. So all of these people don't seem they're running the enterprise. They're just doing day-to-day duties. They work for Mr. Combs. They do not work for anyone else. And them going to set up hotel rooms, it was just part of normal operation. It wasn't any they said they did not know that anything that they was doing was criminal by going taking baby oil to a room and set it up. No. No. Um so and just having thoughts just about it, I really just feel like, the the defense rests their case today, so we can go ahead and hop on in. All right. So starting off first, they are showing exhibits. They're showing exhibits between Jane Doe and Paul. Paul is one of the entertainers, quote unquote, slash escort slash if you want to say prostitute. They showing how she was interacting with him outside of Diddy. So it's telling you, hey, smirky face, I'm coming. That video you sent me was hot. So for the most part, um, if Jane Doe, aka 50 Cent baby mama, saying that, hey, he forced me to do all of these things, we have text messages to prove that outside of Diddy, that she was texting the entertainer herself on the side. Um, Another thing that came up about Diddy today is that him and Jane Doe was texting and talking outside of the time, of course, that they supposed to be having the freak off. So this is showing us a routine and a pattern to whereas, hey, it wasn't just about the freak off. I still spent time with you. It may not be when I wanted you to, when you wanted me to. Of course, I'm a busy person, but eventually we did. Um, Going into that, they got right on into the case. They said, hey, there's insignificant proof to establish this 20-year long conspiracy. Mr. Combs did not conspire with any other person. Then say the innocent and the inner circle of bodyguards, they failed to show it. There's thin proof that they engaged in crimes. Also, on the kidnapping, there insufficient evidence as to two of the three allegations, if you want to even credit Capital Corn Clark. And the lie detector test, when Uncle Paulie took her to the building, they did not satisfy the New York law. Mr. Combs did not know. She alleged wrongful termination, presumably because she wanted to stay. Then, but found out later she got a job with 50 Cent. And she also got a job with Madonna. So the elements are not being there that she was terminated wrong. In fact, they all said they wanted to come back and work for Diddy. As to James, she engaged in sex trafficking for not sex. She engaged into sex for economic benefit. For example, the house. There was only one incident of violence which we got into. The fraud theory is that deficient upon the law. The trip ultimately happened, and she wanted to go out for dinner. That's what I was speaking of kind of earlier, that they signed a love contract, her and Diddy. Hey, in exchange for this $10,000 a month, we gonna do what I do. And that was the love agreement. Um, on top of that, she agreed to it. She said she wanted to go to Turks. He didn't take her to Turks at that time. And he also paid for her and all her family members during her birthday trip or just going out to dinner and eat. They did go to a lounge and other things like that. So they just was not um it was a trade-off. It was a trade-off and it was consensual. Um let's see. Another test also shows that Cassie writes, I just bought baby oil at the store because I couldn't help myself. I'm proud of us. I'm proud we've been doing this for a long time. Baby, you do make me happy. I look at my bracelet and it made me smile. So yes, we know that baby got Diddy got a lot of baby oil. Diddy got a lot of extra glide. I mean, over 1,000 bottles. But it also shows here that Cassie went and bought some herself. Consent? I don't know. I'm reading off the text thread, y'all. So give me a minute. All right. So after they give those few things, the judge finally talked to Diddy. He says, Mr. Combs, how are you feeling? He said, I'm doing great. I want to say thank you. You're doing an excellent job. Judge, do you understand whether to testify or not is up to you? Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor. Diddy also said that he would not be taking a stand. And that's another point that I wanted to get back on that I didn't tell you about. That was my second thought. Um, for me, I wouldn't have taken a stand either. And let me tell you why. Um, things would not have came off. I feel sincere, although you're trying to be serious. And also you've been told not to talk this whole time. And also they don't want you over explaining yourself on the stand in a scenario, right? Or you could say the wrong words, just like these buzzwords. Or I felt hurt. I felt that they were someone trying to take control of me. You know, like buzzwords that, or he tried to coerce me or something like that. So it could be something in there to where words may not add up. Okay. All right. Other than that, the other point that I wanted to make was that if he had called a witness up, so Diddy did not bring no witnesses to the stand. If he had called a witness up and a witness would have took immunity, that right there would have had Diddy guilty automatically, because that means that they knew that they was doing a crime. So in my defense, I wouldn't have called nobody up either, just so they can't say that if you saying that all of these acts. So I want to use Young Miami. She's one of the perfect example. If Young Miami get up on the stand knowing that she was taking drugs or Diddy told her to go pick up drugs, if she was having a freak off, even though they were consensual, well, I did feel like this at the time, but I kept doing it, right? Anything, right? With Young Miami, if what they are saying that's sex trafficking, why would I, as Young Miami, get up on the stand and say, yeah, I did all of those things. Yeah, I called an escort slash entertainer. That means y'all gonna lock me right up. I feel like I ain't did no crime, but y'all saying this a crime, and then y'all want me to get immunity. That means I know that I did something guilty. That means that I committed a crime. So if I go and get on the stand as a defense witness to get immunity, that automatically makes Diddy guilty. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So I wouldn't have called nobody either, or I wouldn't have or got on the stand. I wouldn't have either. I don't think Diddy wrong for that. But we also seen in cases where dang, if he would have took the stand to explain this maybe it could have. But right then that just is what it is. It's one of those things. So they kept showing more and more and more exhibits to why, but they kind of explained themselves today that um that we can't just be doing whatever we want to do. And also, Cohn's lawyer said, hey, there's no evidence that an escort came outside from California, even though they was getting flued in. Escorts were paid for their time. Both witnesses said they were not prostitutes, Philip and Hayes. They were called entertainers or escorts. They never, also, it was never alleged sex trafficker of Jane until they found out she was alleging a circle incident adult assault. That is telling. This theory of fraud is incredibly weak. The fight at Jane Doe House in LA is a single act and is not significant. They were romantic partners. People do it all the time. Okay? And as to Jane, she engaged in sex for economic benefit. And there was only one incident of violence, and he took her to dinner. And also, the fight happened for Cassie at the Intercontinental. They Cassie got hit. They're trying to say that hey, he forced Cassie to after the video came out of him beating her up in the hallway, she tried to leave and he dragged her back. This is what they're speaking on right now. They're saying that the fight happened after sex. So there was no sex after violence. The video seemed to show that Mr. Combs, after he gets the cell phone, just sits in the chair in the elevator lobby. So there's no men's right. That's a cool definition. On count two, Mr. Combs would have known. I'll focus on his men's right about what he understood. Cassie said that the freak off did make her happy. Didn't make Mr. Combs happy. She didn't communicate reluctance. Look at the text message. She was willing every day. The other Cassie at the London hotel, she said she was taking 2 or 3 and held 2 or 3 days. In California law, there's 4 elements not met here. And on the arson, the kids cut the car, no evidence that Mr. Combs was involved. Nobody called the police. On kidnapping, there is a insignificant evidence as to 2 of the 3 allegations. Even if you credit the U.S. witness Capricorn Clark, the lie detector test, he took her to the building once again, and also being paid overtime is not forced labor. Capricorn Clark said Mr. Combs told her to get the fuck out of my house. She said they were crossing her boundaries, but she also got a higher paying job. And they are saying that these are able-bodied USA citizens perfectly capable of leaving. When they wanted to leave, they did. What the 2 were the most afraid of losing was their job. With respect to Capricorn Clark, she continued to work there to show she hasn't stolen anything. That goes back to what they are explaining is that they're not being trafficked or held up against their will because they aren't like immigrants coming in on a green card, and you know that if they don't agree to certain things, that's kind of what Smokey Robinson is going through right now in his sex trafficking case. Like, not sex trafficking, but he got like a $50 million R word allegation against his housekeeper, saying that there was immigrants that came over there, been working with him for 20 years, haven't got U.S. citizen, and he used to engage sexually with them. Okay. Also, Mr. Combs was already paying Jane rent. There was nothing in the call about it. This is not corrupt persuasion. There's no federal nexus. Um, and also there will be no proof that Mr. Combs knew of a federal investigation at that time. With the respect to Jane, they have November 19, 2023. No threats. Mr. Combs said, "Is that when I need you to be there for me?" I mean, everything that's being shown today kind of shows that, hey, we're giving you examples of what you are saying that are all the things that you would want to convict him of. Now the problem would be is that is there any reasonable doubt in any of this? Um Also the judge also as I was telling y'all the other day for it being acquitted, um the acquit may come with the sex trafficking charge for Cassie. So anything for the most part, I was kind of reading off the screen. So if I seem kind of choppy or not, um, going to my normal flow, um, that's what it's about. But for the most part, um, for me today, the defense did their closing summary. Tomorrow, I believe that the prosecution should be doing their closing arguments. Thursday, the defense is doing their closing arguments. And Friday, they should be going into the deliberation room. Just me watching this whole case and not really like telling y'all the whole thing and following it. There's a whole lot of reasonable doubt there. Um, but I'm not taking up for Diddy at all. I never said that Diddy shouldn't go to jail. It's just what he's being charged with is kind of gloomy, and because they do got the jury instructions, and they also got the chart that says guilty or not guilty, and what should they put under each act, and they tell you, hey, if you doing one and he guilty on all charges, you don't got to go to the count two, but if he's not guilty, then check the ones off that you think he's guilty of. But it all got to be unanimous, unanimous. If you saying that he's not guilty, let's say everybody say he's not guilty on the RICO, right? And you go down to the other predicate acts that he could be found with the RICO. I mean, that he could be found guilty of. We all got to agree that he's guilty of X, Y, Z of these things, or not guilty unanimously. So tomorrow and Thursday, well, today is technically Wednesday. It's 12 o'clock at night. But Wednesday, Thursday, it's the most important day to wrap up this case. The feds will start first, then the defense, and then the feds will close out. And with this, it got to be beyond a reasonable doubt. So hopefully everything will work in the favor of who it needs to work in the favor for. But to me, it's just so much reasonable doubt. So hopefully Diddy can just, get himself together, you know, and just hopefully just don't do none of this stuff no more, basically.